Well, your experiences on the road will be important for us, and we know that we've had some tragic news over the last few years about the accident, but look, we just can't keep having the stories piling and capping it.
Yeah. Absolutely, we cannot.
Morning.
And if you look at, well, good morning to you. If you look at the Finder newspaper today, they put, all the figures together in terms of the road crashes that we've recorded. 393 killed in 2 months alone. Absolutely not good.
I love your
shirt.
shirt.
Not good. Thank you very much.
It's not a good time to
Thanks
say, but I love your shirt.
Well, good morning to all of you. Thank you for watching the show. If you missed the news with Roland, well, we're coming to do the newspapers. We're going to review the newspapers and do the online review. But we have to begin to, and I don't know how we have this conversation again about getting all of us aware about the dangers of the roads. I don't know how else and where else we should take the conversation, honestly.
For me, I think the conversation has to be holistic. We seem to be treating one part of it, and so it's always a very reactive part when the accident happened. But apart from the education, the emergency services need to be available because people always misbehave. And then the aspect about enforcement would always need to be undertaken as well. And the enforcement will even be relating to how we tend to do road engineering, etc. Even patrolling and policing the roads, And for example, in more developed jurisdictions, there are cameras on the roads where they have the signages for speed limits and all that. So it kind of puts people in check. We seem to be undertaking all this.
But you know that for us here, if you talk about cameras and that stuff, then that would be extreme.
No,
I mean, we're not reaching that anytime soon.
And I'm not talking about that we should reach it, but I think that what is within our reach is for all of us to bring everybody on board through a bigger national conversation. And I think that Joy News has begun this fantastic thing. Joy FM is also on board. We have Asempa and the rest of the multimedia
We've got
channels,
the DVLA, the last time I went to the DVLA.
And then we have the Road Safety Authority, the police also on board. Now, we need to make sure even service providers, those who provide services on ambulances, those who would do policy implementation, or even the Ghana Institution of Engineers. Exactly.
Most of these
the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development, even the Association of Local Government Authorities, all of them need to come on board. The private service providers also need to come on board. The GPRT also need to, not just their heads at the national level, but even at the local level.
Yeah.
That is where we can have the impact.
I think the initial narration, and this is not confirmed, because as you know, in these 2 vehicles that crashed yesterday, sadly, both drivers died in the process. But this is just eyewitness accounts that's coming in, not confirmed by the police yet through any sort of investigation. But it appears one of the drivers was sleeping, and that's how come he veered off his lane and ended up in another lane. We have to be honest with ourselves. If you're tired, and there's nothing more that you can do. But this is a conversation that we're having heavily here on our show. So let's go straight into the newspapers. I'll start off the Finder, because that's why I picked some of the figures in terms of the accident crashes or road crashes, if you like. So let's begin with the Finder newspaper. On the front page, I've read the headline already. Road crashes, 393 killed in 2 months. Motorcycles alone killed 139 commuters. And then 29 persons burned to death in Kintampo Tamale Highway crash. Pound residents in Demo against killer landfill site. Also, Speaker urges media to engage experts on national discourse. But on page 2 is details of the figures on the front page. So in January, 222 were killed, while 171 lost their lives in February. Out of this, 174 were killed by 1,430 commercial vehicles that were involved in crashes. 1,286 injured by commercial vehicles, 80 killed by private vehicles, 139 killed by motorcycles. Motorcycles killed more people than private vehicles. 117 pedestrians killed, And then the breakdown of deaths in January also. So commercial vehicles killed 99 people, private vehicles killed 44 commuters, motorcycles claimed the lives of 79 commuters, while the number of pedestrians killed was 60. The injured in January are commercial vehicles 750, private vehicles 249, motorcycles 352, and pedestrians 158. So it's got these figures, and they're not just figures being bundled around. These are human beings at the center of it. It's not the end of it. You can grab the Finder newspaper and read on. It's on page 2. And I don't want to give up. I'm not giving up, but we have to find a certain solution to this. This is just March in 2020, and we're still recording very high figures. And in one crash alone, you can have 30, more than 30, above 10, like dozens. That is unacceptable. You know, absolutely unacceptable, and we have to find a certain solution somehow to end this. Let's do the Daily Graphic newspaper. Graphic 70th anniversary launch, aim at autonomy. Speaker tells SOEs, and that's state-owned enterprises. He's asking them to learn from the good example of the Graphic Group, which had risen above turbulent moment to make giant strides in the media industry. I think he was the special guest at their 70th anniversary. So on the front page of the Graphic, there's Professor Aaron Michael Quay applauding after unveiling the anniversary logo at the 70th anniversary launch of the Graphic Communications Group Limited. Looking on at Professor Kwame Kakari, who's board chair of the Graphic Communications Group. Mr. Ato Afo is the managing director of the company. Dr. Ibrahim Mohammed Awao, the Minister for Business Development, also a former managing director of the company as well. And I just love their logo, Graphic at 70. Congratulations to them for being a market leader, for sustaining it. And this is, I think, this is one of the state-owned companies that deserves the applause. They've done it. We've seen how they've evolved, even when they seem to have gone down at some point, pick themselves up. And you can compare it with the other newspapers. I don't have to go there, do I?
No.
Okay.
Speaks volumes.
So congratulations to our friends at Graphic and to the Graphic Group as well on your 70th anniversary. I think the speaker was trying to say something in connection with what he told us in Parliament the other time. Maybe I should save it. So center spread is just highlights of their ceremony, the launch of the 70th anniversary, and yeah, some very important faces there. Says Graphic will maintain neutrality, professionalism, and that's the board chair, Professor Kakari, assuring. There on the back page, Meridian Logistics hands over critical units to hospital for arrested in connection with Soga Copper murder. The Volta Regional Police have picked up 4 persons in connection with the killing of the assembly member for the Sogakopa South electoral area. The 4 were arrested at different locations last Thursday and Saturday following a tip-off and conveyed to the regional police headquarters in Ho to assist in investigations. According to Corporal Prince Dogbachi, an officer at the Volta Regional Police Public Relations Office, the 4 would be duly arraigned after investigations. I guess we would get some update on this sometime today. Let's do the Ghanaian Times, and the last paper I'll do before I hand over to Roland will be the Daily Statesman. But first, the Ghanaian Times, front page of the Times, 2 cops in police grip over missing service rifle. Allow EC to compile new voters register. That's in quotes attributed to someone, but you have to check out the details on page 17. Declining crude prices on international market. NDC COPEC calls for reduction in fuel prices. 4 now arrested in connection with murder of Soga Copper assemblyman. 35 burnt to death in ghastly road crash. So this is the highest figure that I've seen in the Ghanaian Times. We've been reporting 29, 30, but they're reporting 35. Proprietors teacher arrested for detaining 2 pupils. You heard about this story. Was it Obuasi where it happened that the head of the school decided to keep the 2 children after school closed because they owe school fees? and kept them locked up in one of the classrooms. And the whole idea was that their parents or guardian would come for them and pay. And together, I think the two are said to owe a little over 1,000 Ghana cedis. I think 1,200 and something. Seriously, like you have the right to do that. I remember when we were little, they would sack us, like ask you to go home because you owe school fees. But that's even like early, right after assembly when you get into the classroom. And they come around and you haven't paid school fees and they ask you to go home. Even that is wrong, because usually we won't go straight home, you know.
That's on one part.
You know Dansuma very well.
I know some
because
parts
if a child doesn't get home, whose responsibility? Like, who would take the blame for that? Because if I drop my child in school and in my absence, without my knowledge, you ask the child to go home because they owe school fees, then it becomes your sole responsibility if the child doesn't get home.
I think even the added thing and impact to is how it psychologically tends to affect children as well. Because if you sack a child, in the full glare of his colleagues or her colleagues, maybe your parents are the ones who can pay or are poor. You know how, you know, so I'm thinking for educationists who seem to have gone through all the processes and the schooling of education, pedagogy and all that, taking children through all these, I think, tortuous moments, it's quite unacceptable, but also unbelievable that you do that to children.
Absolutely.
I felt it when I was a child. And I think that my children will feel it anytime too.
I think the children these days would even feel it a lot more. Because I remember in my case, sometimes we're actually looking forward to be asked to go home so we can go and play. But these days, I mean, children are smarter than we used to be.
Yeah.
And so they realize the importance of that and what that means.
Yeah.
When they isolate you. Because
Exactly.
I know some of the international schools would isolate other children because they haven't paid school fees when it's time for exams.
Yeah, and I don't know. The children these days are a bit sensitive, and we also have to be sensitive to how their upbringing is.
Yes,
and
as I said, they're way smarter than us. But I mean, you have no rights. That's like arresting someone, like kidnapping, if you like. We really hope that there will be closure on this matter in terms of the law bringing closure to this case, so that it would serve as a deterrent, like we usually say to others, because you can't keep somebody's child because they owe school fees. I mean, what kind of message are you trying to send? All right, let's do the back page of the Ghanaian Times. Ghana Health Service seeks development partner support to upscale e-tracker project. GTA declares Regal Hotel best in Northern Region. Well, Ghana Tourism Authority has declared Regal Hotel is in the Tamale metropolis, the best hotel in the Northern Region. The hotel received a certificate in recognition of the outstanding performance as a 2-star for the year 2019. Well, big ups the people of Tamale, and certainly congratulations to this hotel, which is the Regal Hotel. I thought I'd give you some shouts and highlight your story this morning on the AM show. Hopefully, the entire hotel is watching us. Yeah. Okay, let's do the Daily Statesman newspaper. Front page: dozens burned to death in Kintampo Tamale Road accident. We won't impede bauxite projects, Ochehini assures government. $34 million North irrigation project nears completion. And on the back page, Man United 2-0 Man City. Ole is starting to prove doubters wrong. Yeboah praises Jordan for breaking long-standing record in England. That's it for me, Roland Walker.
Yeah, so let me quickly just do the daily guide. Has on the front page, Samira speaks out on insults.
Did you listen to her on Kosi saying on Asempa?
Yeah, I largely not throughout.
Brilliant.
Yes.
I mean, I stayed
She got
up.
all her speaking points well,
Yes.
and she communicated them eloquently. That's the most important thing for you to communicate. So
Hey,
she's a good.
I saw some headlines about the question that Obi asked if her husband proposed, and the headline I've seen, it's not really what transpired. Exactly.
You mean transpired during the proposition, or?
No, I mean in her presentation.
Okay. I thought you meant when
I
they
saw
met.
the headline didn't actually reflect exactly what the conversation was. I didn't even read on it. It was just a headline, and I thought, nah, I disagree.
What do you think transpired?
Oh, she just said, okay, so I think the question was,
No,
how did he propose? And then she laughed a bit and said, do Ghanaian men even propose? Which really, I mean, did you propose?
You're talking to Dr. Bauman.
I'm talking to you, Roland Walker.
Oh, no, I don't
So
think
it's
I'm
very
the,
typical of Ghanaian men. I mean, you don't do the Hollywood kneel down.
No, that's for
like,
white
you
people.
know.
That's why we don't contract corona easily. We don't touch rough.
So that was, you know.
Touching is not something we do rough. Cuddling,
And then they met through mutual friends.
We are kanpe.
They met through mutual friends. And as soon as he saw her, I mean.
But are Ghanaian women even romantic? Are they receptive to those things? But you want to do that into Ghanaian woman? I will tell you, sorry. Now, also,
no. I think some women will like it.
Who? You?
Oh, me.
Or the other...
As for me, they bet you know me. I mean, I wouldn't know what to say.
Yeah, because if I take somebody typically like you, I don't know, you will rebuff it and the man will get embarrassed.
Oh, no. I wouldn't do that, but I think my reaction to surprises, like, not cool. So don't surprise me.
And you are the typical epitome of the Ghanaian woman that you celebrated
like
yesterday.
You won't get that from me. But
there are people who are like, you are the typical epitome of the Ghanaian woman you celebrated yesterday. Even though the day was on Sunday, we marked it yesterday. Typical. If I bend down right now, I'll say, what is this? And I know you do that.
No, but I don't represent all Ghanaian women.
I think largely, like 99%.
No way,
seriously.
No
Just take
way.
the newsroom.
Okay, where's the WhatsApp? Let's find out from our viewers this morning. You know how if they are receptive to being proposed and that. What I would say.
I think that way we can spend spend 3 minutes and open the phone lines. I will agree. Let me just
listen. This is how I term it. I think it's dramatic, like it's unnecessary.
You see,
but that's just me.
You are not romantic.
There are other women who love it. That's not what I said. You see, you are just like the person who wrote that story.
Mother,
I beg, do the newspaper.
Dr. Bamia is a typical Ghanaian man. Simple. Shamira, forget it. Okay, so we have 31 perish in Kintampo crash. And that's tragic, and we're having a whole discussion on this. Also give you some related side interactions, going to the stations. Now, medical fella wedding soldiers detained. You could see them in the process, in the videos. Quickly were detained.
I think these days some people don't understand. They still don't understand the Ghana Armed Forces. They
no,
don't
the security service. They don't know they have codes.
Don't understand.
I think that the Latter-day Saints think
they don't
that
get it.
Everything, you know, back in the day, if you're Charlie strict, though.
When they drill you, they said they've been picked up, right?
Yes, that's what we had the PRO of them.
Okay, when you go through the process,
the PRO,
and you're fortunate to okay. Let's see if you do it again.
I just did the days on.
Let's see if you do it again.
Guard room somewhere. Or they should be. Okay. So we have on the back payroll, Nadino's woes continuing in jail, faces more charges, and we know the former Brazil international currently being held in a Paraguayan jail for using a falsified passport is being investigated for additional crimes. The prosecutor leading the case has said. Now, Usmal Legal did not clarify what the crimes were, but told Brazilian news sites, Globo Esporte, that there are indications that other crimes were also part. Now, Sergio Queiroz, the lawyer representing both Ronaldinho and his brother Assis, did not immediately respond to inquiries for international reporters. Other stories are also there. But let's go to the center spread. There's a story about the Nigerian singer dying after performing in Dubai. We're talking about Ejiro Omokinovo dying in Dubai.
You know them. Is this one of the people that we're familiar with?
And listen to this. After performing at the 90th birthday celebration of the mother of the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, went to celebrate the mother's birthday in Dubai. Nigeria is not enough. These African politicians. On the other side, reduced fuel prices, COPEC. You have Executive Secretary of the Pressure Group, COPEC, Duncan Amwa there. Meanwhile, on the other side, Freight and Trade Chamber is endorsing Unipass. It has an attached picture of Dennis Amfo Sifa. All right. Mamavi, are we open the phone lines? I was opening through.
let's do mychoonline.com with the. Unfortunately, we don't have the tablet, so I can't read the messages you've sent. But let's do mychoonline.com before you run off. So if you've sent a message, we'll probably read it to you a bit later on in the course of our program. Let's do myjoyonline.com just before we make way for sports. All right, Roland.
So we do have Burkina Faso confirms COVID-19 case. Burkina Faso is just beside the border, or is just above us, our neighbor. And talking about countries bordering us, we have 2 now confirming cases. So we're left with just Côte d'Ivoire and then ourselves in the center. We also do have 2 men tied and gagged girl with pants before defiling her. We brought you that story, and he has subsequently, 2 men, okay, been jailed. We also have Kintampo accident. Motorist ignored a cry for help. Pregnant survivor recounts. Now, Ghana needs a female president, Charlotte Osei. On the day also, on Joy FM, we had Professor Henrietta Mensah-Bonsu says, yeah, but she just doesn't think the psyche of Ghana is ready for it. But I think we need a female president. But we also need to surmount all the related issues of stigma and prejudice.
Okay, so the COVID-19 that you talked about in Burkina Faso, just a bit of details. So on Monday, the country reported its first 2 cases of the virus, becoming the 6th country in sub-Saharan Africa affected by the fast-spreading virus. So these 2, husband and wife, apparently traveled from France into the country. But according to the story, which has been reported by Reuters, the couple have now been isolated. Yeah, Roland. So that's and
relatedly, it's always advised that when you travel, whether you travel from anywhere into Ghana or other countries, you undertake self-quarantine. Okay, and then also you contact authorities if within the period of your self-quarantine you find your temperature rising or you seem to suspect that what you feel are part of the symptoms.
Yeah. So now we have Egypt, Algeria, Nigeria, Senegal, Tunisia, South Africa, Cameroon. They've all recorded the deadly infections. In some cases though, single digits, but they've all recorded. We've had, I think, about 40 suspected cases. Over 40 suspected cases. Nothing positive yet, so we still stay put.
I love that.
And I think I think the message that we're sending across, the precautions, what you have to do at every point. And I see some of the schools are also getting the children to understand is the washing of the hands and getting those sanitizers and avoid shaking of hands. We're beginning to learn that culture as well. I mean, I am beginning to get that to sink into my head. Avoid shaking, wash your hands regularly with soap and running water, and get your child a hand sanitizer, but teach them what is happening. Let them know. Let it not just be you learning all the safety precautions, but spread it out to the entire family. And then the schools that are not doing it yet, those who are doing it, well, continue to get the children educated. Sometimes they even teach us what they have learned, which is a good thing, always very good.
Are you done?
Yes, I am.
Right, it's your birthday today, Bridget Tinge. You work with the Ablekuma North Municipal Assembly, and I wish you all the best. Your lunch is on me, so you have no problem at all. We just have to hook up, Bridget. Suave lady, Bridget.
Okay, just before we go, the Emir of Kano, Sanusi, has been dethroned.
Yeah, they call it dethroned. I was wondering
disrespect. Well, that's something that if we have time later on in the course of the program, we will share a bit of details. But stay with us. We've got sport coming your way. You're watching the AM show right here on Joy News. Please stay.